Welcome back, everybody, to part two of the electrolyte silver recovery. What we're going to do today is convert the silver chloride that we cleaned out in part one. We're going to convert that to pure silver metal with lye and sugar. We're going to do that right now. Here's my fresh, clean silver chloride here in this beaker. Got all the copper rinsed off of it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to convert the silver to silver oxide by adding lye. Lye is sodium hydroxide, and what we're going to do is add it to our silver chloride and form silver oxide. To do that, I've got a handheld blender here that I bought at the thrift store. It's got a nice little steel blade down there that does an excellent job of mixing our reagents here. So I'm just going to stick this down into our silver chloride. Then I'm going to add some of the lye here, and then turn our blender on. Let's see what this is going to do when I hit that button. All right, here we go. Get the camera angle adjusted properly here. All right, here we go. I'm going to add lye and mix it with this handheld blender. Here we go. Looks like I'm short on water. So I'm going to add some water to our reaction here to make sure it's hydrated properly. And then I'm going to keep mixing. What I'm looking for here is a nice black color. And when I see that black color, then I'll know that the silver chloride has been converted completely to silver oxide. I don't use this reaction very often. And there's some folks that say that you don't have to get every bit of the silver chloride converted to silver oxide. Some of it can remain unconverted, and it will convert when we add the sugar. I don't know about that. I always try to make sure I've got everything converted before I add the sugar, and I look for a nice jet black color to tell me when I've added enough of the sodium hydroxide. That's starting to look good right there. Okay, I've added half a bottle of lye here. That's half a pound. And I still haven't got a complete conversion because it's still looking a little bit brown. What I'm going to do is wash the sides of the beaker down. And I've got another jar here with some more lye in it. We're going to add this and continue stirring. That's looking pretty dark here. I'm looking for a jet black color. Like that. There we go. I think I've got it all now. Let me rinse down the sides here. Alright, I think I've got this reaction complete now. Okay, let me rinse the sides of this beaker down. And I've got some sugar here. Table sugar, just like you used to sweeten your coffee with. I'm going to start adding that now to our silver chloride and convert it to pure silver metal. Here we go. Rinse this down. I don't know if I'm completed yet. I don't have much experience doing this. I've maybe done it 15 or 20 times for the whole 10 years I've been refining silver. It's starting to boil now. As you can see, temperature's at 211 Fahrenheit. If you don't watch it, if you've got a whole bunch of material in here, if you don't watch it when you add that sugar, it could actually boil over on you. So I've seen it shoot out of there like a volcano over the top of the beaker. I don't think we're going to get that reaction this time, hopefully. It's still boiling pretty good there. 220 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh yeah, our silver's forming down in the bottom of the beaker now. I can still see some dark colored material down there though. Like all of the silver oxide hasn't converted from the sugar yet. I'm going to add a little bit more sugar here. There it goes, boiling again. It really gets pretty hot above the boiling point of water. We got 222 Fahrenheit, 105.6 Celsius. Kind of hard to tell when it's complete. It's looking like we're done here. I think we've converted everything that we're going to get converted now. Add a little bit more sugar just to make sure. Yeah, I think we're done. Alright, you can see our cement silver down here in the bottom of the beaker. It's looking pretty good. Now the only thing left to do is start rinsing the silver powder off now to get all that lye and sugar rinsed off of there. On what we're going to do next, let's pull back here and take a look at our cement silver back here and how it's doing. You can see that the silver sponge, cement silver's come out on the copper metal there. I'm going to stir it up a little bit and make sure that we get any of the silver nitrate solution that was trapped down in the powder down at the bottom. We're going to stir that up, get it into the solution so it can come in contact with the copper. But this is our cement silver from cementing the silver on pieces of copper. You see the copper's nice and clean, nice and pink. All right, here we go. We're going to start rinsing off our cement silver that we just converted with lye and sugar. I'm going to move the old waste bucket out of the way here. And I've got another bucket. And we're just going to take our silver that we just rendered, and we're going to pour off the waste solution into this bucket down here. This is still going to be very hot. A little bit of the silver will come over with it. That's okay. We can get this, the little coating of silver on the bottom of this bucket later on. And now what I'm going to do, here's our silver. I've got some tap water, and I'm just going to pour some tap water in here and try to rinse all the lye and sugar off of our silver. And then I'll add this rinse to the waste bucket down here. Look at our pure silver powder. I'm going to dip a little piece of pH test paper down in here so we can get a kind of a baseline as to what we're working with. We want to go until we get the solution to neutral. Right now it's high pH. Looks like it might be between 11 and 12 right now. So I'm going to continue to rinse this off until we get all the lye and sugar rinsed off. I can tell when it's gone, when that pH test strip gets closer to neutral. I'm just using hot tap water here to do these rinses. All right, I've had about 5 liters of hot tap water over the top of this cement silver to rinse it off. Let's do one more quick rinse here. And what we'll do then is test the pH of the rinse water and see how we're progressing at getting all of the sodium hydroxide rinsed off of the silver. As you can see, we're probably in the neighborhood of an 8 or 9 on the pH there. Here's the color comparator. Looks like about between 8 and 9. So all right, let's pour this rinse off right quick here. And what I'm going to do, we got to get all this sodium hydroxide rinsed off of here before we put it in a dish to dry it out. Because if we fail to do that, what will happen is molten sodium hydroxide, or even hot sodium hydroxide, will dissolve glass. So what I'm going to do here out of necessity is we're going to take our blender here, and I'm going to bust up all the chunks in the silver. I don't know if you can see it, but the silver has like large pieces that need to be broke up. So I'm just going to stick it in here and pulse it a little bit. This will put some of the silver in suspension, so it's going to slow me down a little bit, but it is necessary to get those chunks broke up so that they'll release any sodium hydroxide that they may harbor. Let me get that out of there. Okay, now our silver is like a very finely divided powder now, like a mud. And so what I'm going to have to do is allow this to settle somewhat before I pour each of the rinses off, because in a finely divided state like that, the silver will stay suspended in the rinse water and get poured off with each of my rinses. So, but we have to do this in order to get all the sodium hydroxide rinsed off of it. Okay, here's our pure silver powder down the bottom of the beaker. What I've been doing is rinsing it and then tilting the beaker so that the silver will settle out. Now, let's see if I can do this without falling to pieces here. And what I'm doing is trying to pour the water off. Am I getting it on camera? Yeah, I guess I am. Pour the rinse water off without disturbing the silver. The silver is like sediment in there, like mud. And then we're going to put it back up here. If I can do this, I've only got 2 hands. And I'm trying to operate the camera and manipulate my beaker at the same time. I'm going to add some more tap water here. Just do another quick rinse. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to rinse down the sides here. What we're going to do now is I've got some different type of pH test strips, a little bit more accurate. Stick one of these down in here. Like I said earlier, it's important to make sure that we get all the lye rinsed off of our silver. Otherwise, if we don't, when we go to dry it out, we could etch our glass container. So I've stuck this down into the rinse water now. Let's see what kind of reading we got. Looks like 7.5. So we're very close. Looks like we got a reading of about 7.5 on our pH. Mrs. Three Tips got me a nice 2-place burner here at a yard sale. So what we're gonna do, this was $5 at the yard sale. I'm gonna move this cement silver out of the way here, and we're gonna set up our burner inside. All right, I'm gonna put a pan on this burner now. We're gonna fill this thing up with distilled water, and I'm gonna do the last few rinses with distilled water. While I'm waiting for our water to heat up back here, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a filter rig here to filter the blue liquid off of our silver. And the way I do this, I gotta include this. It's going to be a long segment, but I put a filter in here, an 11 centimeter filter in my funnel. Well, let me show you this. This is a plastic funnel. It's 2 parts, and I like these for doing my cement silver because they're plastic. All right, I've turned on the vacuum pump over there, and now I take a second 12.5 centimeter filter. The first one was only 11 centimeters, and I put a second filter in here. And the reason I do that is because I have had, with just a single filter in here, I've had the single filters fail on me while I was stirring the cement silver in the funnel as I was doing the filtering operation. So I put 2 filter papers, one on top of the other, make sure it seats real good here. And then now what we'll do is well, let me see here. Let me get this glass rod out of here. And I've got some copper metal left down in here that I'm going to get out. Just going to put it in a beaker here and save it. Oh boy. I'll put some water on that and save it. Now we'll take the beaker here that's got our copper in it, and we're going to pour the blue liquid into our filter here. We're going to separate the copper nitrate, that's what this blue liquid is, from the cement silver in our beaker. You got to pour this in carefully. If you slosh the blue liquid in there on top of that double filter, the top filter could separate, come loose, and start floating in the liquid. If that happens, no problem. You just got to wait for it all to pull through the filter and then readjust it and continue. All right, we've got all the liquid poured or pulled through that filter now. So what we're going to do is I've got a another flask here set up. I'm just going to set this one off to the side. Put my new flask on the vacuum line. attach the funnel, and now we're going to pour the rest of our solution and the silver down into this funnel. The goal here is to separate the waste solution, the copper solution, from the silver. Collecting the silver in the filter, and we'll rinse it out with hot water. Here's a tip: if you're ever going to do anything like this, you want a minimum of 2 of those 2-liter flasks. Now what I've got here is the blue waste solution that we just pulled through the filter. I'm going to add that to our waste container here, and this will all have to be processed through our waste treatment process. Alright, we've got everything pulled through. I'm going to give it a quick rinse with some cold distilled water to start things off here. And what we're doing is trying to rinse as much of the copper off as we can. This is going to be cement silver that's going to be used to feed my silver cell. And what we're doing here is just trying to rinse most of the copper off. We don't have to get all of that copper off of there, but we want to get most of it rinsed off. So let's see, I got a little bit of hot distilled water here now. This is kind of messy. I don't have a pour spout on this this pan here. Just kind of pour some in. Stir the silver. Try to rinse all the copper off that I can. Alright, I've got a little measuring cup here. I'm going to dip out some of our distilled water that's been heating and pour it into the silver here. Rinse it over and over until I get all the blue liquid out of it. The blue liquid is copper nitrate, and that's not that critical to get it all rinsed out of here. As I said, this will be going into the electrolytic silver cell, but we want to get most of the copper out of it. Otherwise, if we leave a bunch of copper in here, it's going to build up in our cell and foul the electrolyte. So the cleaner we can get this, the better we are when we go to run it through the cell. Alright, I need to get that blue solution in that flask out of there. So what I'm going to do now is rinse this flask out, and we're going to put this flask back on the vacuum. And then we'll take the blue liquid, which is a late waste solution, and we'll pour it into our waste container. In the meantime, I'm going to add another dose of distilled water to this. Stir it up. See if we can get all the copper rinsed off. Nice thing about this copper in here is you can tell when you got it rinsed off. When the filtrate down in the flask down there is clear. This will go into our waste container now. Look at that, we got about 3.5 gallons of waste to deal with. That's all going to have to be put through the waste treatment bucket. It's got iron in it, and the iron will cement that copper out. And then we can process the waste with sodium hydroxide. Get it ready for disposal. Alright, this one's about ready. I'm I'm going to add a little bit more water to our container back here. And now what I'm going to do is rinse our cement silver in this jar with some distilled water. All of the sodium hydroxide rinsed off of here. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, it's a 7.0. Safe to conclude that we've got all of the sodium hydroxide rinsed off of our silver. All right, I just realized that the batteries were low on my transmitter. That's why it was shutting off on me. So now we're gonna rinse or pour this last rinse off here into our waste bucket. Now I'm going to transfer the silver into a clean casserole dish here, and we're going to put it up on the heat and get it dried off. Okay, now I'm going to draw off as much of the water as I can. Put it down in our waste bucket. Like I said earlier, there's going to be a little bit of silver in that lion sugar waste bucket. And we can get that all out once we allow it to settle. That lion sugar solution will be added to my waste treatment bucket. here is our 3/9 fine cement silver powder. What we're going to do now, stick it up here on the burner on some low heat. All right, the silver started spattering in there. So what I'm going to have to do here is use a steam bath. I've got some glass rods sitting down in the bottom there and some water. And what I'll do is put the silver on top of that now. And the water will heat up, evaporate the moisture out of my cement silver without causing the silver in here to boil and spatter all over the place. Okay, me and Miss Sweet Tips is out and about. This will conclude part 2. In part 3, we'll melt up the fine silver into a nice bar, and we'll bottle up some of the fine silver powder and offer that for sale on the eBay store. Thanks for watching.